Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'll be discussing my thoughts on episodes 18 through 25 of the anime series Shingeki no Kyojin, also known as Attack on Titan. My approach, as it has been with parts 1 through 3 of my coverage of the series, is to tackle every 6 episodes, or in this case the final 8 episodes, with a single discussion video to follow. And herein, so begins my 4th and final part. And so the 57th expedition beyond the walls is well underway, as Eren and members of the Recon Corps make way for his home in Shinneki to uncover whatever secrets it is that his father beholds, pertaining to the Titans, as this final leg of episodes begins. Yet immediately on their haunches is the female in appearance Titan runner that, though attacked by Armin and a few others, manages to slip away, seemingly seeking to find Eren, or so it is that Armin believes. Their rescue in the aftermath of such an encounter featured their mutual and somewhat comical love-struck reactions to the character Krista, who showed up on the scene with extra horses after seeing their emergency smoke signal. As Armin and his team try their best to regroup, the Titan Runner is effectively handing the Recon Corps sections she's dealing with their asses. Showing supreme intelligence, she definitely keeps her weak point at the base of her neck covered as she comes under attack, even going so far as to make an expertly timed jump as 3 separate Corps soldiers are advancing on 3 different weak point positions. She smacks, bats, and kicks away each of them with relative ease, making her a true terror of a Titan indeed. But the Corps' problems don't end there, as their right flank has been all but taken out, and the remaining teams have followed Erwin's seemingly ill-conceived heading east rather than south toward the forest of the giant trees. This, enchanting though it may be in appearance, having once been a tourist hotspot, seems to spell trouble for anyone and everyone who appreciates the tactical side of dealing with the Titans. And it reminded me in spirit of the Battle of Helm's Deep from Lord of the Rings. Only the center cart guard itself is led into the forest proper, with the right and left flank teams being ordered to stay at the outer edges of the woodlands. Yet does it seem that all of this was done to ambush the Titan Runner, which was quite the surprise. This smart female Titan appears right on cue, making an advance on Eren and Levi's central group. In desperation to do anything to save his falling comrades, Eren very nearly draws out his own inner Titan to face the Titan Runner. And in answer to Levi's and the others pleading for him not to do so, do we flash back on the revelation that Eren wasn't so well able to bring forth his Titan avatar during an attempt to test Team Levi's rescuing him out of it, as overseen by Hanji. Instead, did Eren's ability to manifest his Titan form, albeit only partially at first, come at a most inopportune moment, not perhaps solidifying whatever trust there was to be had for him by Levi's elite team. In fact, they openly distrusted him, but Hanji notes what there is to be learned from this, that Eren's self-inflicted bite wounds are not trigger enough to spawn his Titan facade. He instead needs a goal that requires the utmost of focus. When they all realize Eren's failed spawning wasn't something he chose to do at that moment, each of Levi's team bite their own hands as a show of apology, which I thought was a very poignant moment indeed, as it relates to their trying to have faith in him as much as he needs to have faith in them, which all calls back to their pleading with him to trust them in not taking on the Titan Runner as yet. In effect, do we see that the ambush was what was intended all along, as the Titan Runner is led right into a trap to secure it at the center of the forest, with plans to open it up and see who's inside. Not having seen Mikasa for a while in my previous series review, I speculated as to whether it could have been her inside this female-looking Titan, with its desire to hunt down Eren. But upon seeing her among the core team stationed at the periphery of the forest, went on to suspect it might be someone the likes of Hanji instead, with her penultimate obsession with the Titans. Had she found a key to becoming one of them, I asked myself? And while it seems that I was largely wrong in assuming either of these particular choices had anything to do with the Titan Runner, it was in fact due to a fear of an ally to the Titans having infiltrated the core ranks after all, that led to such drastic measures in capturing her. But while they may be able to hold the Titan Runner in place for a time, getting at the base of its neck is all but impossible, as it wields the ability to project a hardened crystal cover over its hands as they sit covering the back of its neck. Switching up tactics, Levi decides to try taunting the immobile runner, which it responds to with a resounding crying out that signals all the aberrant Titans in the area at the forest periphery to make a lunge toward its center. The Titans make a vicious attack on the stationary Titan runner, inadvertently setting free whoever is hiding inside it. An infiltrator to be sure, decked out in full Recon Corps attire, and leading the genuine Corps on a merry chase before making another full-on transformation into the runner. Aaron's team continues to order his advance rather than turning to face the Titan Runner, and his listening to them effectively gets them all slaughtered before the epic showdown of Titan versus Titan in episode 21. This sees Aaron finally attempting to take the Runner to task in his own Titan form, but this Titan is no easily beaten foe, using feints to gain leverage and eventually a spin kick to decapitate the Titan facade Aaron wears. Following this up with an exacting bite at the neck, seemingly consuming Aaron whole before the horrified eyes of Mikasa, who, in answer to recognizing Aaron's Titan form screams, came onto the scene in hopes of helping him. Mikasa herself damn near brings the Runner down, but it is only when Levi enters the fray that they gain any momentum in defeating it. His extremely swift advances bring the Titan Runner down in a similar manner to how his full team did earlier. Seeing just one dude swing such an effective force against the Runner was some spectacle. In answer to which Mikasa attempts an advance on its neck, but instead Levi focuses on its jaw, slicing it open to save Eren from its clutches. With Eren retrieved and the Runner left behind, the Corps attempts to fall back home, but they come under the attack of some more Titans when a few Corps members seek to reclaim the body of one of their fallen comrades. With wagons weighed down heavily by the dead bodies of their friends, the team realize the only way to outrun the Titans is to leave the corpses behind, which they do, effectively tossing them out of the retreating wagon carelessly as they roll ever onward. But in the wake of their return home are several poignant moments to be had. One being when Levi returns the Recon Corps crest to a friend of one of those fallen, a man named Ivan, who they both knew well. And when Mikasa and Eren overhear the taunts and jabs of folks who believe the Corps' efforts to have been fruitless and a waste of time, and Eren looks up to see a boy and a girl much akin to how he and Mikasa were back when the series began, eagerly watching the defeated Recon Corps making their return home. Just as Eren stood gaping in awe, this boy does also, seemingly stifling whatever retort Eren had been about to issue the naysayers. As well as the father of one of Levi's chosen recruits, a girl named Petra, wishing to speak to him before welcoming his daughter home. It seems by her words to him in a letter that she'd sent, he assumes Petra had a romantic interest in Levi, which may also be reflected in Levi's noticeably taking account of Petra's body amongst those who wouldn't be coming home on more than one occasion. And there's also the interesting footnote that there are people who actually worship the three main protective walls as gods. Things change tack, though, as the final stretch of 3 episodes begins, with the focus being shifted on the military police team that Annie Leonhardt is a part of, who've been given orders to escort and guard the incoming Eren and his fellow Recon Corps survivors, who've been summoned to the capital's HQ. Her team features 2 immediately standout characters, those being the hilariously lax, as one of her teammates calls her, Hitch, and the stuffed shirt rather by the book Marlowe, whose questioning and principles seem to get the better of him to a certain extent. And in a somewhat surprising turn, does Armin approach Annie secretly to ask her to aid him in helping Eren escape whatever punishments are awaiting him. Annie takes some persuading but eventually agrees. However, some massive twists and turns are ever unfolding as she, Armin, Mikasa, and Eren debate whether Jean was or wasn't a fitting replacement for Eren in their approach on the capital. Little did I suspect that this was all a ruse to sniff out the true bearer of the female Titan Runner form. It was Annie herself all along. Talk about major friggin' plot twist. I was just absolutely stunned. But it was a revelation of which Armin had already pieced together back during his first encounter with the Runner in the field when she spared his life after seemingly recognizing him. Seeing Annie's sudden transformation as soldiers jump hastily at her, it's incredibly easy to see that she and her Titan form look very much alike. You begin asking yourself, if you're like me, how did I not see this coming? And I can only reason that it was thanks to Annie's character having been one that stood out during her early appearances, so you would remember her when she came back onto the scene, but that since we saw so little of her between then and now, she was very easy to forget for a time, especially when considering who bore the Titan Runner form. Plus, with the way I tend to think of things, if I had thought to include Annie in my hypotheses of whose Titan form the female was, I'd have probably dismissed her as being too obvious, what with the blonde hair and such, and figured it was merely a red herring to throw me off. What ensues, though, is a cat-and-mouse chase between Annie's Titan form and Eren, Armin, and Mikasa, who've all ducked down into the tunnel that was originally planned to lead Annie into. Eren determines that he must bring out his Titan form, but cannot, whether down to doubts and anxieties, or surprisingly to me, Mikasa's assumption that Eren may have had some kind of feelings for Annie. Before he can answer to any of these questions, however, she and Armin realize they must leave Eren's side long enough to buy him some time to escape, and Mikasa leads for a brief time a one-on-one fight against the Titan Runner, while Armin tries to help Eren, who is caught under a cave-in instigated by the seeking Annie. The military police, the recon corps, and even citizens in general are all in a state of panic as they come to realize a Titan has appeared inside Wall Sina, a virtual impossibility as far as most were concerned. Soon, multiple forces are doling out attacks on the Titan Runner, whilst Armin and even Jean try to persuade Eren to Titan out himself, as his reluctance must be overcome if there's to be any success in beating Annie. But Annie is a well-skilled combatant, even in this form, largely fending off every blow, even to such an extent as when she is temporarily captured in the heart of the city in a smaller yet similar means to how they'd managed to do so in the Forest of Giant Trees, and manages to easily escape with a swift kick of her legs. Finally, as Armin's words of what sacrifice is needed to best such an opponent resonate in Eren's mind, does he find the initiative enough to bring out his Titan form, and heads immediately for Annie's Titan Runner. A battle the likes of the epic King Kong vs. Godzilla unfolds before the scrambling city inhabitants, first, and somewhat poignantly, taking out a church wherein its devout holders of faith in the protective walls find what cruel reality awaits them in their ignorance and complacency. The waging fight seems to see Eren bested once or twice, but in the end it is he, with the help of Mikasa most notably, who keeps Annie's Titan Runner from making an escape over the walls to the outside once again. And here it is that many lay claim to this whole event being a wasted opportunity, what with Annie being captured but self-encased in a protective layer of crystal. And though he is questioned to that such effect, Erwin makes the point that humanity now has an edge set against their Titan foes like they've never had before. Through Eren's and the Recon Corps' efforts, has humanity's intelligence on the Titans and the stretch of them that are actually born out of humanity itself grown exponentially, finally giving mankind a fighting chance in the thick of it all. Yet is it Hanji's words that really resonate with me the most by the end, as the final scenes unfold, regarding the many mysteries still left as yet unsolved. From what Eren's father's role in this all was, what secrets he beheld, whether or not, as we never see his face clearly enough in her flashbacks of memory, Annie's father is potentially the same man. The true identities of the behemoth and armored Titans, and just what brought about this strange and twisted relationship between the two species, human beings and Titans respectively. Was it all really a means by which to bridge the divides of race, ideology, and who possesses what, as has been hinted in the past, by giving humanity a common and unflinching foe to focus on apart from itself? And what's more is that final post-credits shot, which I hope most of you stuck around through the ending credits track to see, of the broken segments of Wall Sina that Annie had attempted to climb up as a means of escape, revealing underneath what I can only assume to be the lifeless facade of a Titan, once defeated ages past, as if to suggest that these walls were literally built around advancing Titan foes that were captured, not merely as a means to protect the human settlements inside the walls, but also to freeze the Titans in place for a better part of eternity. Whatever the case, it's easy to find that there are still more questions than answers by the end. Still, was it enlightening to see Mikasa relieved at Eren's survival, and his, for the first time, non-dismissal of this affection. As well was Armin and Jean's walk toward their debriefing, and Armin's glancing up to the sky to see two birds flying overhead, as if to exist as the embodiment of peace, if not forever, at least for a time. And so concludes Shingeki no Kyojin, also known as Attack on Titan. I've heard rumors of a potential sequel series, or failing that, an OVA to follow up where the series leaves off, as well as a live-action film being in production, though as of the time of this recording I am unaware of the progress of any of these such related titles. I will say Titan was a compelling series, with ideas that I'd say are largely unique in that we've never really encountered things like this before, whilst also being similar enough to other tropes, like that of a mecha series, to be familiar. It was a thoroughly enjoyable run of 25 episodes that I'll admit to wishing there was more of a sense of closure for by the end. But then, when you have a hit series, as this one has been for a lot of anime fans, you tend to hedge your bets by leaving enough of the story to be explored in a potential sequel series. And so, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what your final verdict on Attack on Titan is as a series whole. Did the finale meet your expectations? Were you contented by what you were given? Or did you find the ending to be lackluster and not quite what you were hoping for? In either case, I greatly enjoyed this series for the most part, and that'll be it for me on this. I hope this video finds you well, and if you haven't already, be sure to check out my 3 previous series reviews of Shingeki no Kyojin, also known as Attack on Titan, as well as several other series reviews, mostly episodically, in the playlist links posted in the description below. Otherwise, that'll be it for me, and I'll catch you later. Peace.